So my name is Amber. I run a company called Nextwork, and I was part of Summer of Tech from when I started studying to when I graduated. We'll start a bit with my story, and then we're going to jump into the full thing here. So my personal story, this is me at a Summer of Tech event, got it off their website. So shout out to Summer of Tech for keeping this going. I did Create Camp when this was taken. I'm not even too sure if they're still doing Create Camp, but I studied from 2018. I graduated in 2021. So 2020 was my final year of study, and in 2021 I entered the workforce. 21, 22, 23, 24. So I'm currently 25 years of age. And I'm here today because I have done a lot of interviewing, a lot of getting jobs, a lot of selling, and I'm a software engineer. So hopefully I can share some things that have helped me along the way that can help you, especially in like the market today where it can be quite tough to get a job. The reason that I'm giving this talk is because in my final year of engineering, I got 8 job offers through Summer of Tech. So I went through the whole thing, the speed interviews, all of that process, and I came out with 8 different job offers. And I can show you how I did it because it was very planned. It was very intentional. It wasn't just luck. There were plenty of other people who were far better technically than me, far better speakers than me. But I still managed to get that outcome, and absolutely you can too, for sure. So if you have any questions, please let me know. These days, I run my own company. This is me. I don't know if you can kind of see the full article here, but this was an RNZ article that just came out a few weeks ago, I think, around the startup that I run. It's called Nextwork. And last year we raised $2.3 million in funding to go ahead and build something really, really special. But Summer of Tech, I have a lot to credit for. They got me started. So we're here today to share that. But if I can go from Summer of Tech, like applying for jobs, all the way through to pitching in the startup world, raising millions of dollars, then it's definitely something that you could do too, all the way through if you wanted, and beyond. But there's a lot that I learned about how to tell a good story when you might not have a lot, which is probably going to be quite accessible. So today we're going to cover your personal brand. We're going to talk about what I call preparing the goods, creating links, and then sharing your story. This is all really critical parts of getting a job and landing your first, or maybe your first, maybe not, a job in tech, and in my experience. Being a really good programmer definitely helps. If you've got that, that's fantastic. I would say I was a fairly average programmer. And in fact, since leaving university, I have not really done that much programming. But all the job offers I got were for developer roles. So you can definitely do this too. I'm just going to have a look back through the questions and see if there's anything in particular that we want to go through. I do have CV specific information, cover letter specific information, how to get through that first go. So if you would like to see more of that, then just let me know. But for now, we'll keep to this, and then if you need anything specific, just pop it in the chat. Happy to cover it afterwards. All right, so we're going to start with personal brand. Here we go. Your personal brand, this is how you are perceived by people in the world. You can control this to a large extent. So your personal brand, like it or not, is how people are going to judge you, to understand you, to really get a feel of who you are as a person. And there's a lot that goes, oh, sorry, was that me? Some feedback there. There's a lot that goes into it. And I know that in an ideal world, we would, always judge people by the inside and by who they are as a person and the goodness of their heart and their soul. But in the real world, like, people are gonna judge you on your brand, on your behavior, on your appearance. And this is kind of how you can get through all that and present your best self to the person. It's a lot more than just a kind of, glamorous front. It is definitely not that at all. But your personal brand is the starting point, and you need to be thinking about that if you really want to ace the entire process. So what is your personal brand? I remember people used to tell me, go work on your personal brand. And I found it super useless because I thought, well, what does that even mean? I'm a software engineer. I am not in marketing. I'm not anything like that. So I actually broke it down into a couple of different sections. From my experience, your personal brand is your online self, your in-person self, and then your unique selling point. It's these three things together. I hope we can all see the screen. Yes, we can. Cool. Awesome. So your online you, how you write, how you sound, how you respond online. Your in-person you, how you act and talk and appear in person. And then your unique selling point. What is it that people are going to remember about you as a person? And you can craft this, and you need to craft this because people, you want to be memorable, but you want to be memorable for the right reasons. So we'll go through each of these. I would recommend that you have some notes or a screenshot tool handy, because I'm going to give you checklists of what I would recommend you check off for each of these, and my recommended tools that I think that you can use to accelerate this. So hopefully that's going to be useful. I'm trying to give very tangible advice here. Okay, we're going to start with the online you. I think everyone here has an online presence, and that's awesome. I am a big fan of online presence. I think that it's going to give you an edge. It's going to give you an advantage, but of course you need to be good about it. Aside from just cleaning up any social profiles that you have, definitely okay to have them, but just make sure that you are okay with your employers looking at them, because they will. Aside from that, which I'm sure is all common knowledge, and we're all smart people, so we're all on top of that, this is what your online brand checklist should look like. This is what you should be looking for when you are actually putting together an online brand. Your response time really matters. If you are talking to someone and they are trying to respond to you, you want to respond quickly. I would say within 24 hours max, try to get back to them that day. That is going to, number one, set you apart. I always tried to make sure that I responded to any really important emails that same day. So I would check them in the morning and in the evening. And as a university student, you might not be checking your emails that much, but that is the main way that employers are going to reach you. So if you can respond quickly, then that's really good. Following up as well, if you follow up any conversation that you have, not just an interview, but an application that you send, a coffee chat that you have, a CV that you send through, any job that you apply for, if you can send a follow-up to anyone that's related to that job within 2 hours of your action, that's also going to be great. So you should be trying to tick this off with every person. Your written communication. If English is not your first language, then you really need to make sure that you are putting in extra effort. In fact, if English is your first language, then you should be putting in extra effort for any written communication. Grammar, spelling, that all needs to be correct. People are trying to trust you very, very quickly. So if you're reaching out to people, then this needs to be really important. Posts, anything professional you're putting on, it's all very important here. I'm laying the foundations here because I'm going to talk about a lot of how you can get those first jobs, how you can have those conversations, and you need to have this foundation here. So going into all of this, make sure that this is the basics. Sound really grateful in your any emails or messages that you have. If you say oh, thank you so much, I would love to meet with you. That would be amazing. I'd love for some feedback. It's actually going to go a long way. Absolutely. So don't be afraid to give a little bit of praise. A little bit of flattery goes a long way. People will do a lot if you just, tell them how great they are. So, and do the hard work. If you're meeting up with someone, then you should be the one to book the meetings, because you're in the hierarchy, you're at the bottom. Unfortunately, and you want to get into the company, or you want to get that job. So you should be doing the effort or the hard work in order to make it very easy for other people to meet with you, to talk with you, to hire you. It should be the easiest experience they've ever had. There shouldn't be any waiting. There shouldn't be any like, oh, I've got to send the meeting invite. Like, you make it really easy. You come to them. If they say, where do you want to meet? You say at your office, or, you know, whatever suits you best, any time of day, like, I will make time for you. That's a very, very powerful thing if you can do that. And then connection, have you connected with them professionally, not wasting their time, making sure that you're bringing value, you're bringing something fun, you're bringing energy, you're coming prepared, you've got questions. That's all really part of it as well. And do you have a professional photo? So notice that in the online brand that I'm talking about you building, I'm talking about here actions. Like, this isn't a passive brand. This is a very active brand. How are you interacting with the world online? It's all very important, and you can think of this as kind of your basic etiquette, I guess, online in a professional setting. It may sound really like common sense, but if you haven't worked in the industry before, or if this is new, then this is going to go a long way. So yes, I would definitely recommend double checking your online brand. My favorite online brand tools, of course, like Gmail, Google Calendar. I would recommend using an email that isn't your university email, because once you leave university, you still want to be in touch with these people. So I would definitely create another email address that isn't your university one, and use that for job applications if you can. Google Calendar, of course, you want to be on time, all of these things. For written communication, Grammarly, I would highly, highly recommend. I've had a number of people apply for jobs within my company now, great software engineers who have really poor grammar, really poor English written communication. And it straight away, you just think, there's no way I can hire this person, because they're not putting a professional front to me, who they're trying to impress. How are they going to act to my team? How are they going to act to customers and clients? Put it through Grammarly, put it through ChatGPT. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that it's correct. And then for connection, LinkedIn, I would recommend as the sole place to connect with people, and Leonardo.ai if you want to generate a cool photo, or preferably you can use a professional photo. If you would like a professional headshot, by the way, we do them free here at our office in Wellington, if you would like a professional headshot taken for your LinkedIn. So your online brand starts with these things. It starts with good etiquette. Even if you're not posting a lot or pushing a lot out of there, these small things in your behavior are going to go a long way. So start with the basics and build up from there. All right, your in-person you, how you act, look, talk in person. This gets a little deep, this sort of stuff. It's a bit of self-reflection sometimes. But your in-person brand is very much, if you were meeting someone for an in-person coffee, an in-person chat at an event, how do you turn up? You know, are you someone that they would want to sit next to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? You want to be, past that test. So just the basics in these ones, make sure that your physical appearance, that you're just dressed well, clean breath, carry a pack of gum on you. It does not matter. Just do it. Pick up like $5 gum from the dairy, and then every time you go to an event, just have a few. It's better than the alternative. Be on time. My kind of a friend of mine when I was at university, he ended up turning up to a interview an hour early to this interview, and he turned up at the office and said, "Hi, I'm here for my interview." And they said, "You're an hour early." He said, "Yeah, I know, I wanted to be early." That was actually really awkward, because the company then felt like, this is kind of weird. What are you doing here so early? What do we do with this person for an hour? No one is free to look after them. Just have to sit in the waiting room, or like kind of stand awkwardly to the side. So don't come super early, but 5 minutes is fine. 5 minutes early is very, very good. Definitely don't come late. And I like to scout out the location first. So any interview that I did, even if it was meet and greet or the speed interviews, I would actually go to the venue early and like scout it out. Where am I going? Where's the bathrooms? Like, I have one shot at this and I want to be prepared. I don't want to have any locked doors, any unexpected things. Just go to the location early, scout it out. If you're meeting at a cafe, try and look for a table that isn't going to be too loud. It's got a good spot. Like, these little things are going to make a difference. Have an exit plan when you meet someone in person. Thank the person. Like, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. I know you're very busy, very important. And stick to the time allocated. I like to set an alarm on my phone for when the meeting's up so that I'm not going over. When the alarm goes off, if we're having a really good conversation, I might say, I'm really enjoying this. Do you have another, 10 minutes just to finish this up? And most of the time they'll say yes, but you're already building a reputation. You're building your personal brand as someone who is responsible, is going to stay on time, is really organized and put together. So that's going to be really powerful. Be ready to pay if you're meeting for a coffee. It's very likely that they might offer to pay for you since you are a student. But you want to be ready and then gracious if they do offer. Just say like, wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I feel very lucky, this sort of thing. So definitely have an exit plan. And also, if the conversation isn't going anywhere, then you might want to have an exit plan there. I have definitely left many a meeting where it wasn't going very well, or I felt like it had reached its peak and then I didn't know what else to say. So I said, look, I really appreciate the time. I know that we had booked a full hour for this, but I know you're very, very busy. I've got, a huge amount of work and assignments to do. Would it be okay if we paused it here and then, we continued this later or something like that? You want to end at the peak, end at the peak. So just have a couple of exit plans ready to go, especially if you're nervous about in-person meetings. Yeah, you'll be great. So yeah, my favorite in-person brand tools. I didn't know what to put for a physical appearance. I just said a mirror. Just arrive early, go to the bathroom, make sure you don't have like spinach in your teeth or something. For on time, Google Maps, Google Calendar, and for an exit plan, a watch and a phone alarm, your wallet. It's pretty basic for in-person sort of things. I would add like gum to this as well, or some mints or something like that if you're really quite nervous about it. Okay, cool. Hopefully that was quite common sense. This should be the common sense part of the presentation, but we have to cover it because we just hired 2 new engineers in our team, and I probably talked to over 250 engineers in this process. And it's amazing how uncommon common sense is. So definitely take some notes. I hope that was useful in itself. We're going to get onto the really juicy stuff now. Any questions on that first? Any questions on a little bit of the online or in-person, like etiquette, attitude? Do you shake hands? Do you go for a fist bump? Like, any questions at all? It's all good. How do you ask them for your LinkedIn? Great question. Where's my phone? I get up to leave. Okay, if this is in person, we'll do it in person. We've had a great coffee. I get up to leave. I pull out my phone. I check the time. And I say, oh, hold on a second. Before we go, would it be okay if we connected on LinkedIn? I'd love to follow what you're up to. All right, very flattering, very nice. And then if you can, if they say, yeah, absolutely, send me a request, then straight away, you say, okay, see you later, bye-bye. You go around the corner and you stop on the street and you open LinkedIn and you send them a request and you personalize it and you say, thank you for a wonderful coffee. I learned so much. Can't wait to see what you do next. All right, it's all about you flattering them. You're not asking for anything. Don't ask for anything to begin with. Just, I want to follow you. You're an inspiration. I really enjoy what you're doing. Very cool. If it's online, then you can just, if it's a call, it's the same sort of thing. You can say, wait a second before we go. Is it okay if I shoot you through a LinkedIn invite? Almost everyone will say yes. So it's very nice. Great. You said you interviewed 250 engineers before hiring. What made you hire the ones you did? Great question. Because we're a startup and we're very early stage, I was looking for a very kind of particular set of skills. I wanted someone who had seen really world-class engineering, think Google, some parts of Atlassian, really, really great software companies. I wanted someone who had worked in a startup before and someone who could communicate really, really well in the team, because we've only got 2 engineers and we're a team of 7. So they're not going to be working just with other engineers. That ruled out a lot of people, I would say, particularly in New Zealand and Wellington. So for us, it was more of that experience thing. But what made people stand out in the end was just they were very frank. They were very honest with what they could do and what they couldn't do. And they had a really strong attitude to learn and to get along with other people. Just really, really lovely people. I like the question I ask myself as someone who's hiring engineers: could I sit on a 16-hour flight with this person to America? That's my question. That's what I'm looking for, because that's what I need of my team. They're likely to travel with me. But I'm happy to go into more detail from another end, perhaps hiring not for a startup, which I think if you're going for a startup role, then feel free to ask me about that. But there aren't a lot of startups in New Zealand, so it might be more relevant for other jobs. Cool. When you mentioned following up, how would you follow up? What sort of things would you say? It's all like, thank you so much. You've been amazing. I learned so much. You're trying to set a good tone for going forwards. The ultimate goal when you're networking is that you meet up with this person once every 3 months. Maybe every month if you really need a job soon. If I was in university now and I wanted a job at the end of the year, I would try and meet up with these people once every 2 months or so. So that by the time you actually apply for the job, you've already met this person like 3 or 4 times would be the goal. A great example of this actually is one of the job offers that I got was at Accenture, which is a very large consulting company. And I got to the final stage. I interviewed, it was a panel, and then I turned down the job. I ended up going with something else. And on LinkedIn, one of the people on my panel who I had followed up with and connected with, even though I didn't take the job, messaged me and said, a week later, I just heard that you didn't get the job. Do you mind me asking why you didn't take it? He was the managing director of Accenture for Australia and New Zealand. And he'd reached out to me personally. From then, I met with this person probably once every 6 months, once or twice a year, I would say. And I still meet with him today. And he's become a great business advisor of mine, a really good friend. So you never know where these are going to go. I would definitely try and connect all the time with everyone that you meet with. Cool. Apart from experience and extra qualifications, what personality aspects did you look for? Yeah, they were just, I think it depends on the role. If it's an entry-level person, then you're looking for someone who's going to make up in energy and effort what they lack in skills, basically. If it's someone who's going from a senior position, you want them to be a bit more calm, considered, really making some of the really big decisions. If they're an entry-level job, you just need them to soak up as much as they can, to be super excited, to be very energetic, to be excited about doing some of the boring work that just needs to be done. If they're enthusiastic about that, that they're going to take on these sorts of roles and just be thrilled to be there. That's someone that's really, really awesome to have on the team. And you can start to trust that person with more responsibility as they grow. For my own reasons, I can't do handshakes. Sometimes I've learned to give a person as a hand over your heart instead for a respectful goodbye. Do you have any insights for things to instead? I think that's really nice, actually. Thank you so much. Like, that was really great. You know, sometimes just a little wave, you know, thank you, or like, thank you so much, is really good. Yeah, if you don't, then another one, if you're standing up and you don't want to do a handshake when someone comes in the room, like for a coffee, it's quite normal to just reach over and say, hi, I'm Amber, nice to meet you. You could gesture to the chair, like, hi, it's lovely to have you here. Would you like to, you know, like, you don't have to say, would you like to have a seat? But you can gesture with your hands so that it's not this awkward, like, what do I do with my hands? Yeah, just something else that's going to welcome them into the space without having to shake their hand. Yeah, I would go for a wave or for a something like that. Whatever you do, just commit. There's nothing worse than oh, we're going to change halfway, you know. I would say better to just fully commit to whatever you're doing, and then just laugh it off. It's always good. How would you go about setting up meetings before the job is advertised? We'll get to that in a moment. That's a really good point. It involves a little bit of like research, I would say. So we'll come back to that. It's addressed later on. As someone who's not in one of the biggest cities, how would you recommend connecting with and meeting those types of people from a distance? Brooke, you're going to have to get really good in your online events and online communication. Luckily, it's very easy to stand out. For example, you could stand out right now just by turning on your camera. Straight away in a meeting of, I don't know how many people are here, 80 something maybe. I would recognize you more because I've seen your face, you're interacting, maybe you're smiling. Like, automatically then, if I was to hire from this group on this call, Brooke would be at the top of my list because she had a camera on. You know, these sorts of things. I think it's easier to stand out online than it is in person. But you'll just have to get really good at it. Yeah, when you say that we should meet up with the employer, how do we do that? Do we just text or email them and ask to meet up? Yes, I'm gonna make some notes here on how to do this, because we'll get to that part about how you can actually build a plan to meet with these people. So how to organize meetings, I think, is a good one. And then, yeah, setting up meetings, how do you meet them? We'll get to that. How do you spend your free time outside of the office? Do you have much time left for your development? Do you mean software development, personal development? I'm not getting any taller, so that's out of the question. When you're in networking events, how do you connect with people and how do you start the conversation and stand out? Really great question. It can be very awkward, especially if you're the only person there. It can feel like, how do I do this? What a great question that you can do is just ask people about themselves. It's a technique kind of called mirroring, I think it is. Might be a more official name with it. But if you just become like really try to get fascinated about this one person and what they're doing, then that is a really great networking experience and tactic. My advice for networking is go to an event, any event or wherever you want to meet someone new. And your goal is to have one really good conversation. Your goal is not to talk to as many people as you can. That is not a good networking experience. You want to aim to have one really good conversation that you're happy with. And if you have that one conversation, if you want, you can go home. Okay, that was always my rule. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in. My goal is to have one really good conversation. Even if I only talk to this one person for the entire event, that would be considered a huge success in my books. Quality over quantity, right? Don't aim to try and shake hands with everyone. Just try and talk to one person. And you want to find out as much about this person as you can. You know, there's kind of a role that you're playing here where you're the new person, you're trying to learn about what this other person is doing. I'm assuming that they're an employer of some sort. So you want to go in and ask them, like, you know, I see that you work at so-and-so, or just, hi, I'm Amber. What brought you to this event is always a good starting point. You're trying to find things in common. And the one thing you have in common is that you're both at this event. So what brought you here? How was it getting here? How are you finding it? Do you go to these events often? Is it useful in your work? Do you enjoy these events? These sorts of questions are a good way to get the conversation going, and it gives you some breathing room. You don't have to have this whole script planned. You're just trying to ask them about themselves, get them to get friendly, and then the conversation will flow. To be honest, I think that asking people about themselves will make you stand out. A lot of people will come in and say, hi, I'm Amber and I would really love a job. And it's like, okay, but like, do you know what you're applying for? No, you want to really get to know the person. If you had a possible internship opportunity after reaching out cold via email, after seeing them speak at a meetup, but it was a while ago, 2 months, and you freaked out, still haven't replied because the timing wasn't right, how do you restart the conversation being authentic, but not oversharing? I have overthought it a bit. Can you tell? Yes, I can tell. You can just say, this is how I'd word the email. I would say, let's say that the person's name is Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. I know this is a bit random, but 2 months ago, I met you at this event. I've done a few different papers since then, which really got me thinking about what we discussed or what was talked about, even if you haven't done those papers. And I'd love to share some new ideas that I have. I remember your talk being really inspiring. I took lots of notes, and I'd love the opportunity to catch up again. I know you're very busy, but how does next week sound? Happy to work in with your schedule. If this is too much, or if this doesn't work out, would it be okay if we just connected on LinkedIn and aimed to do something later this year? All the best, Amber. Something like that would be really nice. And then send it, and then move on. There's other people out there as well. When you are meeting someone in person, either at networking events or interviews, how do you handle situations where you messed up, apart from exit plans to end the meeting? It depends how you messed up, honestly. Feel free to elaborate on that a little bit more. I feel like there are many different ways that you might mess up. So as long as you're still healthy and happy, like if you got hit by a bus or something, then definitely just abandon ship, go to a hospital. So what level of messed up are we talking? I had a few questions emailed to me for the last step in an interview process. Could I ask them to you and get a model answer? Yeah, pop them in the chat. We can do them live. Very cool. All right, we're going to keep going. I'm going to come back to some of these and then we'll keep going. Okay, how can you find your unique selling point? Your unique selling point is important because you need to have something that you are really good at, even if you don't think that you are good at something. There is 100% something that you can talk about and say, like, this is why I am special. This is why I am unique. This is why you need to hire me and not this other person who also has the same degree, went to the same university, got the same grades. So what's your unique selling point? Here's some questions you can ask yourself to find it. What do you enjoy doing that other people don't? If you're in tech, maybe it's documentation, presenting, talking. That was my thing. You might be able to tell. Maybe it's, hey, I really enjoy doing the back end of like all of these projects. I really enjoy it. I'm really good at it. Other people on my team really don't like it, but I do. I really like optimizing things, making sure that they're really speedy. You might be completely the opposite. You might say, you know what? I really enjoy the front end. I really enjoy like spending time on the details, on all those little fiddly things. I love that. I love the polish. I love making it look really good and really slick. That's my thing. Compiler, you might say, I really love writing code that helps things compile faster. Like it could really be anything, but what do you enjoy doing that other people don't is a good place to start at your unique selling point. What do you want to be known for? Okay. Are you someone who is just going to be heads down, real focused, get the job done? You really enjoy that work. You enjoy working on really big problems, things that are really tricky, and you just want to get it done. All right. Or are you someone who's going to be more of the glue in the team? Like, I'll just be a little bit part of everything. I'll be able to have really good conversations. I'm not really one to do like a whole lot of deep work, but I'm going to be an awesome team member. Not that you can't do both, but have a think about what you want to be known for. If you were to be a little cartoon character and this world was your movie, what would your traits be, basically? And are you selling yourself on your potential or on what you already bring to the table? Perhaps you've had a previous career. Perhaps you've done a lot in the past that is going to be impactful when you get a job. Or maybe you've done absolutely nothing and you're just selling yourself entirely on potential. That's very cool too, but you need to understand where you are in that. So do some of this self-reflection, answer these questions, and see if you can find what your unique selling point is, because your goal is to find the right person that's going to match your one instead of you trying to adapt to every single thing. You've got to be adapt a little bit, but you also want to be clear, this is what I'm good at, and people will respect you for that. Cool. Awesome. All right. That's the personal brand. We're going to go through prepare the goods, and we're going to speed through this. There's not too much, and then hopefully we'll spend a lot of time on questions. So prepare the goods. What I say when I am talking about that is this idea of a box of chocolates in a conversation. You need to have a repertoire of stories and topics that you are going to bring out in interviews. I'm talking mostly about interviews now. And I like to think of them as a box of chocolates. In my box of chocolates, when I was interviewing, I had a whole bunch of different things that were ready to be talked about. I had a personal project that I had done. That was one chocolate in my box. I had some life experience. I had gone on some hikes. I had done some travel. I had learned some new skills somewhere. I had a hobby. I, was doing some music. Maybe you're into DJing. Maybe you are into gaming. Like whatever it is, you've got something else, some other story there. You've got a uni project that you've done. You want to have all of these little stories ready to go. And then as you're talking in a conversation, you leave like little crumbs of these chocolates. And if someone likes the crumbs that you've dropped, they will bite and they will ask you, oh, you mentioned that you've done a personal project. What was that about? And you can go, oh, funny you should ask that. Here's my amazing story about my personal project that makes me look fantastic. So you want to have all of these stories ready to go. And then when you start a conversation, you just scatter them in there a little bit. Like, in the conversation as you're going, you just start to drop little hints. One of the 5 personal projects that I did this year was actually about AWS. They might say, oh, that's interesting. You did 5. That's amazing. You might say, yeah, I did 5. Like one of them was on this. And then I'm scattering crumbs. So then they can ask me about any of them. And I have a story there. Don't scatter crumbs that you don't want people to eat. You don't want to say, oh yeah, there was this one time that was like a real disaster and like, man, it was terrible, because they're probably going to ask about it. So choose your chocolates carefully. Here's what I'd recommend you include in your box of chocolates. You need a story that shows your strengths, a story that shows how you struggled and then overcame that, a story that shows your teamwork, something that shows personal drive, and something that is a non-tech related, just cool experience. My partner, Michael, he has the best non-tech related cool experience. Him and his 4 brothers are all called Michael. And he always wins this one. It's like the best icebreaker I've ever heard in my life. So you want to have something that's catchy like that, where someone says, oh, remember that person? Like, you know, it was cool. Like they were into this or they were into that, or they had this like weird thing that was catchy, you know. So yeah. I got to know some of the people who are hiring at Canva quite well. And one of them said, we're looking for stories that show us your character, indications from the past that you're going to be good to work with as a person today and in the future. That is the whole point of these stories. You're trying to show in the past, like your skills that you're going to do in the future. So just get those stories straight. I remember I actually wrote them out on a piece of paper, all my different stories. And it took me a little bit of practice, but I got really good at them. And then anytime anyone asked me a question, like I had it ready. Cool. Next is create links. And then we'll go through some questions. Create links. If you have no experience, this is you. And this is the hiring manager looking for 100% the right person over here. And you're over here. You can move yourself to become this person through a range of topics that overlap. For example, all right, you have no experience. They're looking for someone who's really interested in React. Okay, here's how this conversation would go. Hi, do you have any experience in React? Actually, I don't. But while I was at university, we did this one topic that really got me interested in React. And so I started looking into it. I started doing my own research. I read probably like 10 different blogs on it and decided that I was going to start building my own website. So I started building my own website. And from this, I actually learned that this is a really cool technology because of ABCD. This got me really excited about it. And that's why I'm talking to you today, because I really want to learn this. And even though I haven't had the paid work experience, it's like my number one passion. And I'm going to give everything I can in the next year to learn this. So what I was saying there is I kind of worked my way through the cycle to get to, okay, this is the right person for the job. Yeah. That space between where you are currently and the person that they want is opportunity. And you can find your way there. It's like a set of dominoes by taking your stories and then overlapping them until it's a very logical path to get to the person that the company wants. Okay. Let's run an example. So fortunately, there's actually some questions here already, which is really good. Okay. You've been given, I'm reading these questions from the chat. You've been given an urgent task that needs to be completed by the end of the day. How long would you spend on the task before you escalated? Great question. I wouldn't say this is particularly tricky. You might say, you don't want to say, I would spend 20 minutes. End of answer. Don't say that. You want to say, well, I would take several steps to make sure that I was doing as much research as I could to find this answer. First of all, I'd make sure that I understood the problem. Second, I would then go and look at any existing solutions that I can find on my own, in my own realm. I would search these different sites. I would be looking for these different key signs. And then I would be documenting what I have learned. After that, I would see if there was anyone in the team who I could ask quickly if there was anything that they could do to point me in the right direction. And if I still couldn't find an answer after that, then I would take everything that I've learned, everything that I've tried in a really concise manner and ask someone who I knew the answer. This is what my problem is. This is what I understand. This is what I've tried. This is what I've looked for. Like, here's my answer. How long it takes really depends on the problem itself. That's how I would answer it if I was in person. Yeah, probably. But you might say, if I was working on it for half a day and I still couldn't make any progress, then that would be a sign to me that I need to ask for someone. Someone's help. Okay. Cool. I'll have a look down and see some other ones. Awesome. All right. Okay. We'll move on from here just for a little bit, and if we've got time, then I'll come back. Feel free to put in some other tricky questions that you're not too sure how to answer, and I can give them a go. All right. The final one is to share your story. I think this one is probably the most important. If no one knows about you, no one knows about you is the bottom line. To rock up somewhere where no one has heard about you before and expect a dazzling response is really, really difficult. All of the job offers that I've got, all of the successful sales that I've made have come from knowing people over a longer period of time. You need to start sharing your story, otherwise no one is going to know about you. How you do this is completely up to you. Here's my recommendation if you were to go full out, guns blazing, do everything, but feel free to pick and choose the parts that are most interesting to you. Social media. In my final year of university, I posted weekly on LinkedIn. Every week. And I was so terrified of this that I just scheduled all of my posts for 6 months in advance. I used like a free social media scheduler thing, and I just set it to run. I did it in like one weekend in a burst of inspiration. Maybe that's you after this call. I just wrote 6 months worth of posts, and then I just let it run. And I never checked it because I was too scared. So I did that, and that helped a lot with my network. They didn't do very well. They would mostly get like 2 or 3 likes or something like that. Like, it was not that flashy. But I was still there showing up every day or every week. Connect with the people on LinkedIn you want to work for at a very minimum, very bare minimum. Projects. I would highly recommend you create a project portfolio. Put all your uni projects up on there. If you have done a uni project, I started documenting all of my uni projects. My entire final year thesis was like all on my blog. I wrote it all, I did updates, and that definitely helped me get a job. Try and do 1 extra project a semester, 2 a year, pretty reasonable. It doesn't have to be big. Try and base it around something cool that you want to learn. The main thing is that you document it even if it was a complete failure. Just put it somewhere so that you can build up a portfolio. And then events, attend meetups, ask one question per event. Just put up your hand, try and ask something, and then follow up with the people that you met, like what we talked about at the start. 24 hours later, make sure you're applying to things. 2 hours after the event, try to send something out. My favorite sharing tools for social media, LinkedIn. I built a personal website. I thought that was really useful. I had a lot of fun with it. I liked it. I also used YouTube. I was posting a lot on YouTube. I thought that worked great for me, but if you're not interested in that, then don't worry about it. Projects. Nextwork, we've actually got a whole bunch of AWS projects. If you are interested in building your portfolio, then you can definitely sign up. We have free AWS projects available. 1 every week comes out. They take about an hour to do. This week we built a chatbot. That's a cool project. So if you'd like that, then let me know. GitHub is also good. Personal website, good place to host them. And then events, again, we have a lot of events. We share a lot of industry events. So feel free to join Nextwork, and it's all free if you want it. I just know it can be very, very useful. And Meetup as well is very good. How do you network like a pro? If you really want to take the advanced pro approach, then you need to start documenting who you are meeting with. You can just create a little spreadsheet. This is just a screenshot that I found online. And then say, like, when did you meet this person? What time? Who were they? What did you meet? What did you talk about? And then set a reminder to follow up with this person like a month from now. So my formula is follow up with them 2 hours after you've met them, then 2 weeks later, then 2 months later, and then you can start to do like monthly or bi-monthly catch-ups. That's the ideal. And you want to bring value every time. Sometimes the value that you can bring is just making someone feel important. That is value enough. Awesome. All right. That's everything that I've got. If you would like some projects, I'll put them in the link at the very end, but let's answer some questions. Cool. How to find a mentor and getting advice and guidance. It looks like someone has asked for that. I would look for the person that you would like to be like and then ask them. They're not going to come with like a mentor plan. So my advice is to build not just ask for one mentor, but see if you can find mentors in different areas. Do you want a technical mentor to review your projects and tell you how you can improve? Do you want a mentor to help you get a job, work on your conversation, your social skills, that sort of side? Do you want a mentor that's going to help you financially to make a plan to hit some financial goal? These can all be different people. So I would say look for people that you admire and start reaching out to them. You will find a lot of people that aren't good mentors. Yeah, but you need to give them some material to work with as well. When the conversation is going awkwardly, if you stumble upon your words or it's the start of the interview and you don't know how to answer the first question, how do you handle these sorts of situations? When the conversation is going awkwardly, if you stumble your words or you don't know how to answer the first question, you can just say, wow, that's a really good question. I have to think about that. And then ask them a question. Or you can say, how would you answer that? Like just try and get the conversation going. And just slow down, just take a deep breath. You can even say, and it will probably be quite charming, like, oh, I'm actually kind of nervous talking to you. That's a good icebreaker as well. I've said that many a time. If I fumble or if I'm lost, I can just say, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm actually kind of nervous right now, and then they're like, oh, you don't need to be nervous. It's totally fine. It's a good out. What if I have no story to tell? Like when they ask you the most difficult time in your career, but you have no such experience. This is where you want to use that Venn diagram of links. So you might say, okay, I'm starting here with no experience. They're asking me about the most difficult time in my career. You can say, well, at the ripe old age of 21, you can tell my career has been awesome up to this date, and that might get some laughs. That's always a good one. Or you can say, well, I actually haven't started my career yet, but I had this really difficult time when I was doing X, when I was trying to learn this, when I was at school, when I was trying to do this exercise thing, whatever it is. This is why you need that chocolate box of different stories. Have a story for what was difficult. And even if it's not about your career, you can then talk about that. That's what they'll be looking for. So you can still answer the question. You just say, well, I haven't started my career yet, but let me tell you about a time that was difficult for me somewhere else. Very cool. Question, did you stick to the Summer of Tech CV format? I definitely entered the Summer of Tech profile, but my entire website was my CV. So in my CV that I would put together for a job, I would make sure that my website was there. And when they clicked on my website, it was like an extensive CV. It had all my projects, it had all of my grades, it had my life ambitions, like what I wanted to do. They've changed wildly since then, but it doesn't really matter. I tried to get people onto that page as quickly as I could because I wanted to put more in front of them than just what I could put on the Summer of Tech profile. What did you post? Great question. I just posted about what I was doing. So I'd be like, this week I'm trying to solve this bug, or like this week I had to learn about this new thing. Yeah, it was all kind of random sort of stuff. And I was doing a lot of learning in my own time as well. So I was building a lot on that. It doesn't matter too much what it is. I would just say, keep it small, keep it regular, and try not to overthink it too much. I had to dig out some of my old LinkedIn posts. I think it was like this week I learned about, or this week my thesis was around Salesforce and trying to build something around it. So I'd say this week I learned about the Salesforce API. Like absolute nightmare, but we're making progress. Like check out the latest on my website. And then I just link my website. So yeah, that's the sort of thing that I post. On YouTube, I would post like demos of me learning about something. It was very basic. For example, if I was learning about React, I would do like, let's do a 5-minute intro to React, how to download React and like set it up or something like that. And then I would just film that for 5 minutes and then upload it. And the next week I'd be like, how to create a component or something very basic, how to push to Git, how to do a PR, you know, these sorts of things here. Where did you put out your portfolio? Was it on your profile? I built my own website using React because I wanted to learn it. I thought it would be a good addition to my chocolate box to have that to talk about. But you can use a lot of pre-made websites if you like. Totally recommend next work. Thanks, Rod. Do you think showing vulnerability is okay, e.g. when answering a question about showing growth or overcoming a challenge? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, in fact, what some interviewers will do is they'll push you to the limits of your understanding. They are trying to get to see how are you going to react when you don't know the answer, when you don't know what's going on. And a lot of interviewers will like try and push you into that position because they want to see, do you get defensive? Do you lay blame on someone else? Cool. Do you get defensive? Do you lay blame? Do you lie? Or do you just say like, hey, I don't know. That's something I'd have to look up. That's the ideal one. But if they're a good interviewer, they'll put you in that position. So definitely, yeah, be vulnerable about it. Try not to dump all of like your life story and trauma on them in a conversation. But you can definitely be vulnerable. For sure. Yeah. What if you follow up and they don't respond? Eek. It depends how many times you followed up. I have a rule of 7. I don't stop emailing someone until I've sent them at least 7 different messages. So the bar is high. Yeah, you don't have to go that crazy, but I would just send them a message like every other month. Just keep it light, keep it friendly. And if you've messaged them 7 times and they haven't responded, then you can say, all right, I've really tried my best. Hi, Amber, you might have already answered this, but can you give us a quick example? At a career fair on a Summer of Tech meet and greet, how can you make the person you're talking to think, we need to hire this person? Say you're approaching Trade Me an event and it turns out you're talking to an HR person. How do you start the conversation and fully sell yourself? There's no way that they can judge your technical ability in that moment. So you want to come across really friendly, really motivated, really interested in Trade Me. You might say, hi, my name is Amber. Oh, let me just do that a bit better. If it was a meet and greet, I say, hi, I'm Amber. I saw your listing on Summer of Tech for a software engineer internship. I'm super, super interested in it. Trade Me has been like my dream company. Just make sure you're not saying this right next to another person you want to talk to from another company. But Trade Me has been my dream company. I'd love to know a little bit more about the technologies that you guys use here. And then they might say a bit about the technologies. You can say, oh, that's super interesting. I actually did some projects in that. You know, and then they can say, oh my God, what projects did you do? And then you can say, yeah, it was this really cool thing. And then you can say, hey, what are you looking for in your applications? I'm really serious about this. This is something that I really want. And they can say, well, we're looking for this, this, and this. And you can say, cool. Are there any green flags or red flags that I should know about that are really important? You know, and then by then your time's probably up and you have to move on. But you've showed you're very interested, you're very keen, you are using that time really wisely to do your best to apply for the job. And that's going to help you stand out instead of saying, hi, my name's Amber. I've done these projects. I think I'd be a great fit. Can you hire me? Again, it's that asking questions that's going to get you there. When it comes to personal projects, I'm always trying to enhance my portfolio with cool real life projects. Awesome. But so many companies use so many different tech stacks and tools. What tech stacks and tools to focus on to get a job or something to talk about with employers? Any advice and insight would be amazing. I would try and do, it depends on what you're interested in. First of all, try and do something that you actually enjoy doing. For me, I enjoyed building apps. So I chose like React as a project. But if you want a job at like Rocket Lab, then that might not be the best thing to do. So have an idea of where you want to go and then try and build your skills around that. But again, have like this kind of that Venn diagram where you've got something that you can link. So if someone's asking you about front end, you can say, oh, I haven't done exactly what you're talking about, but I've done things that are similar in concept. Or if someone's asking you about back end, you can say, well, I haven't done exactly that language, but I've actually done something in C#, which is relevant. I've heard that it's kind of similar and I would be keen to learn more. So you just got to be able to take whatever question they're asking you and then divert it to what you've actually got in your box of chocolates. Thank you for this. Awesome. So good. Is an event such as career fairs, is giving employees your CV and contact a good idea? It's a little old-fashioned now. I would opt for a LinkedIn message and then the ongoing relationship, I would say. What did you post? Yeah, it is like a study journal. I basically posted a study journal. That's a great way to put it. Do you have any project at the moment where I can contribute as a volunteer? So what do most interviewers look for after pushing their interviewers to the limits? Just that they're going to handle it calmly. They want a calm response, not something like aggressive and frantic. Okay, awesome. I'm going to share this link. Please join if you would like. This has got some AWS projects here that you can start with for free. Sorry for going a little bit over, but I hope that was useful. If there is anything else, feel free to use everything we have talked about and connect with me on LinkedIn. But I will say that I'm in full startup grind mode and yeah, it's a very intense time for us here. So I will try my best to get to everyone. But we're just building cool things. Thank you so much for coming along. If there's anything else I can help with, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you around. Thank you.